Hello everybody, I'm Harry Hoffman. This is the Double H Show. Tim Tebow finally gone. Drew Brees is out, and Aaron Rodgers also gone from the NFL playoffs. 4 remain. We have tons of reaction to the 4 games this past weekend. Great games, and we got a lot to talk about. Eli Manning versus Peyton. Tim Tebow, what do the Broncos do when Brady and Belichick roll on again to the AFC Championship game? This is the Double H Show. First, we start with probably the most exciting game of the playoffs so far. That was the 49ers and the New Orleans Saints on Saturday afternoon in San Francisco. Just back and forth the whole game. 4 lead changes in the final 4 minutes. I mean, it was unreal television, reminiscent of the Notre Dame-Michigan game early in the season when there were 3 lead changes in the final minute and 30 seconds, Michigan going on to win that game. And, you know, I thought with this one, if it got into a shootout, I thought Drew Brees would take care of business and beat Alex Smith. But in fact, it was the other way around, and Alex Smith led a tremendous drive down in the final seconds, and of course the touchdown pass to Vernon Davis with 9 seconds on the clock sent them into a frenzy down there in San Francisco. You know, it really makes this 49er team look hard to beat because they have such a great defense and they're such a great team. You know, the Packers as a team, they're a great offense, but lack a lot of talent on the defensive side. The 49ers with a tremendous front 7 and a great offense with Alex Smith, who played probably the best game of his career since he's been drafted. You know, finally, good time for him to start picking it up. So the 49ers just look like a very tough team to beat. And what a year for Jim Harbaugh. His first season on the job, you get the 2 seed in the NFC, you beat the New Orleans Saints, and you move on and get a home NFC Championship game. I mean, what a season to start out your career as an NFL head coach. Great job to Jim Harbaugh. And for the Saints, a disappointing end to the season. Many thought they could go on and win the Super Bowl, and it looked that way. They looked to be rolling. Their offense was great. They were playing well all around. Drew Brees was obviously one of the hottest quarterbacks in the league, but too many turnovers. He had 5 turnovers on the game. San Francisco probably should have put it away early. They were up 17-0. They probably could have taken care of business, but they let the Saints creep back in it and finally get the lead, 24-23, but good job to San Francisco for not backing down and fighting back and getting the W. So what a great game in San Francisco. Should be a good one for the NFC Championship next week. Speaking of that, the New York Giants is who they will play after the G-Men beat the Green Bay Packers down in Lambeau. Man, the G-Men must love going to Lambeau. It's something about that field makes them feel like home. I don't know how they do it. Just a demolishing 37-20 stomp on the Packers. Eli Manning, another great game, and it just looked like the Packers were out of rhythm all game. Aaron Rodgers missed a lot of wide open guys, and many of his wide receivers dropped too many passes. And they also had some costly fumbles. They had 3 fumbles on the day. Too much for a team trying to win a playoff game. And of course, the turning point, I think many would agree on this, was the Hail Mary at the end of the half. How bad could that secondary be to let Hakeem Nicks just go up and grab it? I mean, it just looked like a pitch and catch from Eli to Nicks. Just awful defense. That can't happen. You know, you got to give some credit to the Giants, but it's a Hail Mary. You got to stop that. I mean, that's just bad defense on the Green Bay part. And now you're going into halftime down 20-10 with no momentum whatsoever. So it was a bad day for people in Lambeau, but a great day for the G-Men. And of course the question arises, is Eli better than Peyton? People, let's not get ahead of ourselves just yet. Yes, Eli's a great quarterback, but his brother, talent-wise, is just so much better. So many records. I mean, if Eli wins maybe 2 more Super Bowls and his brother doesn't struggles in the playoffs, then maybe. But right now, Peyton's still the better quarterback, but Eli has played better in the playoffs than his brother. He has proven that he is a great clutch playoff quarterback. And see, the regular season, you never know what you're gonna get with Eli and the Giants. Peyton, you're always gonna get 11, 12 wins and head into the playoffs with a home game. With the Giants, they were 7-7 at one point this year, with Tom Coughlin on the hot seat, almost was gonna get fired, and now they're going to NFC Championship game. When the Giants get down and everybody's on the hot seat and people are wondering if they can even play football, that's when they start to play. I mean, they lost to the Seahawks and the Redskins at home, and people were thinking, oh, this is going to be a bad year. And somehow Eli and Tom Coughlin find a way to turn it around, start getting hot going into the playoffs, and now they're on their way to San Francisco to see if they can get to another Super Bowl. And Tom Coughlin just punched his ticket for another couple years to stay in New York. So the Giants get it done again. Just good for Eli, great for that team. Their defense played great, even though the Packers had a lot of miscues, and Aaron Rodgers was definitely angry after the game. He didn't even know what to say when a reporter asked him about his wide receiver miscues and how they dropped so many passes. He was just stunned, and they should be 15-1 record. But they didn't really have any momentum going into the playoffs, and the Giants had everything going for them, and they get the W. The Denver Tebows versus the New England Patriots. The Denver Broncos. Tim Tebow finally out. Brady gets the job done with an absolute rout, 45-10 of the Denver Broncos. Wasn't even close. It was over before the game started. Brady and Belichick just too much to handle at home, and Tim Tebow's offensive line just couldn't get anything done. He was being rushed the entire game and started to get angry down the stretch, yelling at his guys. Tim Tebow goes 9 for 26, 1 fumble lost. I mean, it was just bad, and who knows where they're going to go from now, because you would think that John Elway, as great a quarterback as he was, would like someone more along the lines of a great passer. And I don't think he thinks that Tim Tebow's the guy. Maybe he could be after a great offseason of work, but I think he's going to want to bring in some more competition for Tim and see who is the better overall quarterback. And we'll see where John Elway wants to go with that. But for now, we're done talking Tim Tebow. He's out of the playoffs. I'll talk about the Broncos during the offseason, but right now it's Brady back in the AFC Championship game once again. And finally, the Texans and Ravens. What an odd game. Ravens jump out to a 17-3 start after Jacoby Jones makes a costly fumble on the punt return, and the Ravens get it at the 2-yard line. Can't have miscues like that in the playoffs. It's one thing about the playoffs, you can't have little things like that happen. You have to do all the little things right. Yes, TJ Yates threw 3 picks, but the Texans could have gotten the job done. The Ravens only outscored them 3-0 in the second half. So if the Texans put up some points, it's a different ball game. But TJ made some rookie mistakes, threw the ball to Ed Reed too many times. And Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs in that defense just held their ground in the second half. But the Texans stayed strong. Arian Foster, another great game, 132 yards on the ground. First time ever the Ravens have allowed a rusher over 100 yards in the postseason. So props to Arian Foster for that. But just overall, good season for Houston. They'll be back, no doubt. J.J. Watt and that defensive line just were unbelievable with 5 sacks. They'll be back, but for now it's the Ravens going to the Patriots to play for the AFC Championship game. And, the Ravens, Joe Flacco said before the week that if they had won, he would get no credit, as usual. And, well, he doesn't get any credit for this win either. He did not do much. Most of his receivers made great catches for him. He didn't look spectacular. Ray Rice only had 60 yards on the ground. Also didn't look great. So, if they definitely get into a shootout with New England, I don't know. I think Brady can pull it out. Brady threw 5 touchdown passes in the first half. I mean, that's absolutely unheard of. So it's definitely going to be tough for the Ravens to keep up with New England. But we'll get more in depth to next week's game later on this week. So that'll do it for these 4 games. It's going to be the Ravens, Patriots, and the 49ers and the G-Men next Sunday, 3 o'clock and 6 p.m. Should be a great weekend. We'll talk about those games more as the week goes along. Thanks for joining me. I'm Harry Hoffman. This is the Double H Show.